Ever wondered what it takes to be the deadliest duelist in history? Let's dive into the world of duels, where honor, revenge, and pride often led to tragic consequences. Today, we're counting down the top 10 deadliest duels that have ever taken place. Get ready for a thrilling journey through time, filled with legendary figures, epic battles, and shocking twists. Number 10. Alexander Hamilton versus Aaron Burr. Hamilton, a brilliant statesman and orator, had publicly criticized Burr, accusing him of being a dangerous and ambitious man. Burr, feeling deeply humiliated, challenged Hamilton to a duel. Despite his reservations about the practice, Hamilton agreed, believing that it was the only way to resolve the conflict honorably. On July 11, 1804, the two men met on the banks of the Hudson River. The duel was conducted with pistols, and Hamilton was mortally wounded. He died the following day, leaving behind a legacy as one of the founding fathers of the United States. The duel between Hamilton and Burr was a national tragedy, and it continues to fascinate historians and the public alike. Number 9. Giacomo Agostini versus Francesco Caracciolo. Step back in time to the Renaissance era. In 1610, Italian noblemen Agostini and Caracciolo clashed in a duel that rocked Naples. A dispute over a woman led to this deadly encounter. Agostini, a skilled swordsman, emerged victorious, but Caracciolo's death sparked a scandal that reverberated through high society. The duel between Agostini and Caracciolo was a shocking event at the time, and it was widely reported in the Italian newspapers. Number 8. Wild Bill Hickok versus Jack McCall. The Wild West was a rough and tumble place, and duels were a way of life. Wild Bill Hickok was a larger-than-life figure in the American West. He was known for his quick draw, his fearless attitude, and his reputation as a lawman. Jack McCall, on the other hand, was a lesser-known figure. He was a drifter who was often involved in criminal activities. McCall was also a jealous and vindictive man, and he had a grudge against Hickok. The duel between Hickok and McCall took place in a saloon in Deadwood, South Dakota. Hickok was playing poker when McCall walked into the saloon. McCall approached Hickok and shot him in the back of the head. Hickok died instantly. McCall was quickly arrested and claimed that he had acted in self-defense, but the jury did not believe him. McCall was found guilty and sentenced to death. He was hanged in Deadwood on March 27, 1877. Number 7. Sir Lancelot versus Mordred. The feud between Lancelot and Mordred began when Lancelot fell in love with Queen Guinevere, Arthur's wife. Mordred, who was jealous of Lancelot's position with Arthur, sought to destroy their relationship. Lancelot, heartbroken and humiliated, returned to the Kingdom of France. However, Mordred continued to plot against Arthur, and he eventually seized control of the throne. Arthur, realizing the danger that Mordred posed, returned to England to reclaim his throne. He met Mordred in battle at the Battle of Camlan. The battle was a bloody and chaotic affair, and it resulted in the deaths of both Arthur and Mordred. Number 6. Napoleon Bonaparte versus Sir Robert Boyd. Napoleon Bonaparte was one of the most influential figures in European history. He rose to power through a series of military victories, and he eventually became the Emperor of France. Sir Robert Boyd was a British general who was a brave and capable officer, but he was also known for his arrogance and his tendency to provoke his enemies. Boyd had made a derogatory remark about Napoleon, and Napoleon, feeling insulted, challenged him to a duel. The duel was fought with swords, and Napoleon emerged victorious. Boyd was mortally wounded, and he died shortly afterward. The duel between Napoleon and Boyd was a rare instance of a head of state engaging in a personal duel. Number 5. Charles de Batz de Castelmore d'Artagnan versus the Three Musketeers. Charles de Batz de Castelmore d'Artagnan was a young and ambitious Gascon who dreams of becoming a musketeer. He travels to Paris to seek his fortune, and he eventually joins the ranks of the Three Musketeers, Athos, Porthos, and Aramis. D'Artagnan quickly proves himself to be a worthy member of the Musketeers. He is involved in a number of dangerous adventures, and he eventually finds himself facing off against the Cardinal Richelieu, the chief minister of King Louis XIII. In the end, D'Artagnan and his comrades emerge victorious, defeating Richelieu's agents and saving the day. Number 4. King Arthur versus Mordred. Number 4. King Arthur versus Mordred. King Arthur was a legendary ruler of Britain. He was known for his wisdom, his courage, and his loyalty to his knights. Mordred was Arthur's illegitimate son, and he was a jealous and ambitious man. Mordred sought to overthrow Arthur and seize control of the kingdom. He betrayed Arthur on several occasions, and he eventually succeeded in turning the Knights of the Round Table against him. The Battle of Camlan was a bloody and chaotic affair. It was fought between Arthur's loyal knights and Mordred's rebel army. In the end, both Arthur and Mordred were mortally wounded. The death of Arthur marked the end of the golden age of Camelot, and the kingdom was plunged into darkness. Number 3. Musashi Miyamoto versus Sasaki Kojiro. Musashi Miyamoto was a legendary Japanese swordsman who lived from 1582 to 1645. He was known for his incredible skill with the sword, and he is considered one of the greatest warriors in Japanese history. Kojiro was a wandering swordsman, and he challenged many opponents to duels. He was undefeated in his career, and he earned a reputation as a fearsome warrior. The duel was fought with wooden swords, and it was a fierce and evenly matched contest. In the end, Musashi emerged victorious, defeating Kojiro with a single stroke. Number 2. Alexander the Great versus Darius III. Alexander the Great, the young and ambitious conqueror, faced off against Darius III, the king of Persia. Their duel was more than just a personal clash. It was a battle for the fate of empires. Alexander the Great was one of the greatest military commanders in history. He conquered a vast empire that stretched from Greece to India. Alexander was a brilliant strategist and a charismatic leader, and he was also a fierce warrior. Darius III was the king of Persia, and he was a powerful ruler in his own right. Darius was a wealthy and powerful man, and he had a large army at his disposal. Darius was forced to flee the battlefield, and he was eventually captured and executed by Alexander's men. The defeat of Darius marked the end of the Persian Empire, and it solidified Alexander's reputation as one of the greatest conquerors in history. Number 1. David versus Goliath. David was a young shepherd boy from the town of Bethlehem. He was the youngest of Jesse's 8 sons. David was a skilled musician, and he played the harp for King Saul. Goliath was a giant Philistine warrior. He was 9 feet tall and armed with a spear and a shield. Goliath was a formidable opponent, and he was feared by the Israelite army. Goliath challenged the Israelites to send a man to fight him. The Israelites were terrified, and no one would volunteer. Finally, David stepped forward and offered to fight Goliath. David used a slingshot to hurl a stone at Goliath. The stone struck Goliath in the forehead, and he fell to the ground. David then took Goliath's sword and beheaded him. David's victory over Goliath was a miracle. It was a testament to the power of faith and the importance of courage. The story of David and Goliath has been told and retold for centuries, and it continues to inspire people around the world. These are just a few of the deadliest duels in history. From ancient times to the modern era, duels have been a part of human culture. While they were often seen as a way to settle disputes or prove one's honor, they also had tragic consequences. The stories of these duels serve as a reminder of the dangers of violence and the importance of peaceful conflict resolution.